Hi, welcome back to the channel, and today it's a wet and miserable day and I've been on the motorway for the past 3 hours and I'm now going to quite an exciting service station. You can see the sign behind me. This is for Norton Canes. And the reason why this service station is exciting, you can see it here behind me, is because it's on the M6 toll road. Now the M6 toll road is a special road in the UK because it's the only motorway that you have to pay to use. And the reason why you have to pay for it is because it was built back in the early 2000s by a private public initiative. So the government decided that it couldn't afford to pay for a new motorway, so it put it out to tender, and it cost somewhere in the region of £1 billion. And it took about 10 years to actually construct it, and now you have to pay to use it. Now when it was first opened, it only cost £2 to actually go on it. Now it's closer to £10, so it's become a lot more expensive. But why this service station is special is because you can only access it if you're on the toll road. So basically, it's like a private member's service station. So it's only for people who've got enough money to pay for that toll road. Now, this has been constructed around about 20 odd years ago, but it is quite special inside. It's a bit more upmarket than your bog standard service station. So today, I'm going to go in, check it out. If you're not from the UK and you're not familiar with service stations, they're basically grab and go. There's fast food in here. You can sit down and eat. So it's lots of different food on offer. So we'll go in and check it out, have a look around, see what you think of it. And then I'm going to pick what I think is probably the healthiest option out of all of the different food that's available. So let's go in and have a look what it's like. Oh, one thing actually that's worth noting is that I've seen lots of people going in here with their dogs. So it doesn't actually say that dogs are allowed, but nobody's stopping them. There must be 15 or 20 dogs in there. So if you've got a dog and you're coming here, then you should be okay to take it in. But let's go in and check it out. So I'm now inside the Norton Canes service station, and this place is really modern. So it's very bright. It's actually 21 years old. I think it was opened in 2003, so probably 22 years old now. But yeah, it's a bit more upmarket than a lot of other service stations. You can see it's got a very high ceiling, got some modern design, got a lot of glass behind me here, so it's very bright and light and airy in here. So it feels different. So it is a bit more upmarket now that we're on the private road in the UK. You have to pay on the toll road to get in here. So let's go and see what food they've actually got on offer here. There's a good selection right from one end to the other. Right, so at the very bottom end of the market, you can go to the supermarket. So there is a co-op here, Norton Canes Co-op. So you can just grab and go, buy some food from the supermarket, which is relatively cheap and inexpensive. If you've just got a limited amount of time, you want to get back on the road, you just do that. Next, you could go to McDonald's, which interestingly, they haven't got the red sign, they've got dark brown sign here. So big queue at McDonald's. They've got all of these different terminals where you can come in, order all your food, and then just go and collect it from the front. So that's an option at the lower end of the market, and it's a bit cheaper. Fast food. Next to that, we've got two different options. Fresh Food Cafe, which I think is sort of slightly more upmarket version of grab and go sandwiches, and Coco de Mama Italian. I've got lots of different options here. Let's have a look. We've also got a chippy, so you can get fish and chips if you fancy fish and chips on the go, jacket potato, bagels, and then a variety of different pastas and pizza as well. So good selection and reasonably priced as well. Pasta, you can get that middle range for between £5.95 at the bottom to £8.10 at the top. Pizzas are priced at £7.45, £6.95 for a Neapolitan. Selection of drinks. Let's have a look what else they have along the way here. Now I've got chosen noodles. So if you fancy some noodles, you can get some freshly tossed noodles. Got lots of different options here. I don't really fancy noodles today. Costa Coffee. If you're from the UK, you'll be very familiar with the Costa Coffee brand. If you're not, then it's basically the British equivalent of Starbucks. It's pretty much everywhere. Wherever you go, you'll find it on all the high streets. There must be almost 1,000 of these stores now, so similar. They've got automatic ordering terminals where you can decide what you'd like and then just call up all of your options, pick all the different coffees that you want. They also do food and pastries, and so it's mostly sandwiches and muffins, those type of things. I don't really fancy that today. I'm looking for a real meal. WH Smith is another retailer, so it'll do food and drink down the back here. It's mostly confectionery, so you'll find candy, chocolate, sweets, those type of things, Pringles, and then there are some meal deal options as well. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for something a bit more healthy, a bit more like a real meal, and the one that I'm going to go for is Leon, which is over here, which is a relatively new concept. It's been around probably for maybe 10 years, so relatively new. And the idea is that this is meant to be a healthier version of fast food. So it's still delivered to you pretty quickly, but the type of food that you're ordering is a bit better for you than high sugar, high fat burgers that you might get from McDonald's, for example. So let's order a meal and see what they've got. Right, this is the order and pay terminal. So tap that, I'm going to eat in. And they've got lots of options: rice, burgers, wraps, salad, sides. So I'm going to go for the rice option. So we've got a variety of options: aioli chicken bowl, peanut satay chicken bowl, Moroccan meatball bowl, paprika chicken bowl, super green falafel. Or you can get a box. Now the bowls are priced at £9.49 through to £10.49. The boxes, which are a bit smaller, £8.99, £7.99. I fancy the peanut satay in a box, so a bit less expensive and a bit less food because I don't want too much food. I can make it a meal deal, so I'll go for the meal deal. So I'm going to add, so I've got that, I don't want any extra chicken, I'll take that. I'm going to have the baked fries, baked not fried, which is good. Choose my sauce, I have a chili sauce. Continue with that, compress it. Drink, which is included, I'll have sparkling water. Some extras, I don't really fancy any extras, that's fine. You're going to have to pay more, they're £3.99, £6.99. So I've got my peanut satay chicken box, baked fries, sparkling water, grand total of £12.98. So I'll buy that and then go and sit down and eat it. Here I am with my Leon meal deal order. So got my bottle of sparkling water, which is branded Leon sparkling water. Let's have a bit of that, see what it's like to start with. Not bad, not bad. It doesn't have the cap that stays on anymore. It separates, okay, it's fine. I have got my special Leon baked fries, so I'll have those in a moment. Also got my chili dip. And I have my peanut satay box. Now, they haven't given me any cutlery. Maybe I was meant to pick it up, so I think I'm going to have to run over and get that in a second. Otherwise, I'm going to have to eat all of, yeah. Certainly wouldn't be able to eat that with my hands. So I'm going to have to run over and grab my cutlery. Right, I am now back with the cutlery, which is opposite where you order. So I should have picked that up, but first time I've been here, didn't know. It's wooden cutlery, which is always a fun, joy thing to eat with. But let's have a go. I'll have one of these fries first, see what they're like. It's really soggy and soft. Tastes quite nice. Not crispy at all. I assumed it was going to be crispy. Let me try another one just to make sure it wasn't just the top one. That one's a little bit crunchier, still a bit soggy. Tastes a little bit like reconstituted mashed potato. If you mashed potatoes up and then made them into this shape and then baked them, maybe that's exactly what they've done. It was reasonably tasty. It's quite warm. It's nourishing. So from those points of view, it's quite good, but not quite as nice as I thought it was going to be. It does taste a little bit like a posh French fry, a slightly bigger posh French fry. But let's see what this satay rice dish is like. I've got a little piece of lemon, which is quite nice, so I'll squeeze that in. So from a meal point of view, I think that's a bit more at market than you would get from McDonald's. You certainly don't get a slice of lemon at McDonald's. I've got some pips here, I'll have to take them out. Let's see what this satay chicken rice box is like. That's really tasty. Satay sauce, quite peanutty, bit sweet, really flavoursome. The chicken seemed okay, seemed quite decent. Let's have a look at a piece of chicken that isn't in sauce, see what it looks like. So it's real chicken, it's not reconstituted, it's not shaped chicken that you can get in some fast food joints. That's real chicken that's been chopped up, looks like it's been char grilled. The sauce is nice. The rice is brown rice, which is healthier for you. If you've never had brown rice, it's slightly chewier than white rice, different texture. It's got a bit more to it, a bit more grain in it. It's actually really tasty. It wasn't cheap. It's just under £13 for these 3 items. So comparing that to the other fast food offerings that are here, McDonald's and the takeaway, the grab and go stuff, you could certainly eat for a lot less than £13. I'm sure if I went to McDonald's, I could get a meal deal for maybe £7, £8 at the most. So this is at the premium end of what they're serving at this service station, but it actually tastes like quite a decent meal. It's a type of thing you could cook for yourself at home, and you'd be quite happy with that. So yeah, I think it's a good quality option. If you're prepared to pay a little bit more, I wanted something that was more of a substantial meal, not just loaded with fat and sugar. So from that perspective, I think it's a healthier option. It certainly feels like a sort of, a relatively upmarket lunch that you might go out. If this was served on a plate or a nice bowl and it'd come separately with the sauce separate from the rice, and I'd mix them together, then this is the sort of thing that you would pay £15 for in a restaurant. So I think this is, it's at the lower end of restaurant quality food. So I'm quite happy with this. There's a good amount of chicken in it. I must have 12, 15 pieces of chicken in this, and they're all quite sizable. Yeah. This is very good. These additional extra baked potatoes, they feel a bit more at the fast food end of the market. If I ate all of those, I think for the rest of the journey, which is another 3 hours or so, I would be regretting eating that, because it does feel, even though it's baked, it does feel quite a heavy, high carbohydrate. There's obviously been some other things added to that to give it more flavour. You can taste some salt, some spices. That feels more like a McDonald's type product. This feels more of a healthy option. So I think I will be leaving the rest of those, having a bit more of my water, and finishing the rest of this. But just before I do that, I'll tell you some interesting things about this service station, because it was opened 21 years ago. It's run by Road Chef, which is one of the biggest operators of service stations in the UK. And essentially, you've got a monopoly on the whole market, because there are options along the way, but once you're on the motorway, you don't really have any choice other than to stop at one of these service stations. So there's 3 or 4 different operators who basically have cornered off the market, and everything in here will be significantly more expensive than it is on the high street. So the WH Smith that we saw, which basically sells food and sweets and confectionery, candy, chocolate, drinks, those sort of things, they will all be fully priced. So you won't get any deals here, it'll all be very expensive. But what I like about service stations is they offer you a nice warm place to stop off. They obviously have toilets here, so you can go to the toilet, you can have a cup of coffee, relax, have a break from the road for a while, and everybody has to come here. So if you're rich or famous and you're travelling in a car on the motorway, then you'll have to stop here as well. So haven't seen any celebrities yet, but I'm on the lookout, I'll have a look. But my overall assessment of this place is that it's modern, it's bright, it's right, it's quite a nice space to spend time in. It's quite empty at the moment because we've just passed the peak lunchtime of between 12 and 1:30. so it's clearing out a little bit, so it's quite nice. I'll spend maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, finish the rest of this food, and then get back on the road. So here I am a few hours later in the Lake District. You can see I've got a lovely old church behind me here, and great scenery. Of course, it's raining a little bit. It's always raining when you come to the Lake District, so that whether you can see any of that scenery in the background, I think it's a little bit, there's a bit of mist on the mountain behind me. But I wanted to give my overall verdict of the Norton Canes Services. Now, this service station repeatedly is in the top 5 in the UK. So when polls are taken, it's always voted as one of the best. And I think you saw from the layout and the way it's actually been built inside, it is pretty nice. So it's got a nice ambience in there, it's light, it's airy, it's got really high ceilings. So from a structural point of view, I think it is definitely one of the best locations. Now, in terms of the food, because that's what we're all about, what about the food that's in there? Well, service stations these days are all about convenience. So people want to go in, they want to be able to get something to eat quickly, they don't want to hang around for half an hour waiting to be served. So we had a lot of chain convenience stores. So we had actually a couple of convenience stores. We had W.H. Smith and the Co-op, and then there was McDonald's and Costa and Chosen Noodles, and there was a pasta place. So there were lots of different options, but the one that I went for was Leon. And the reason that I went for that is because it's a little bit more healthy, and also it's a little bit more like real food. So the ordering process was pretty quick and easy. I got my food within a few minutes. So from that side of things, job done, tick the box. But what was the food actually like? Well, as you saw, I had 3 different things. I had the water, which is pretty standard, so don't need to comment on that. I had the baked fries, which I was disappointed with. But the meal itself, because the baked fries were an addition, I added that on for the meal deal. The actual meal itself was really tasty. The rice was well cooked, it was nice and chewy, which is what you want from brown rice. The chicken, there was lots of it. The sauce, really tasty. So if that had been presented on a plate with some cutlery, maybe in a separate bowl, then I would say that's at the lower end of restaurant standards. So pretty decent. So in terms of service station food, I think that's probably up there. It's one of the best that you're going to get. So what's my overall score? What score am I giving to Norton Canes Services? Well, let's put this into context. It has to be viewed against other service stations. I can't really compare it to a Michelin star restaurant because it's not like for like. I'll be comparing apples with pears. So from the context of a service station, I think ambience and setup and atmosphere, it's as good as you're going to get, I think. So that would be pretty much a 9 out of 10. I don't think you could do much better, although there is another service station that I'm intending to go to soon that's privately owned. So we'll see whether or not that gets a 10 out of 10 rating. But I give it a 9 out of 10 in terms of the actual layout. The food itself was really decent, I think, for what it is, for quick on-the-go food. So that would have to score probably an 8, I think, in the context of service station food. This isn't comparing it to restaurant food. This is comparing it to other service stations. So overall, I'm going to give this place an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think there are many better service stations that you will find anywhere in the UK. Now, let's obviously take into account the fact that this is on the toll road, so you have to have paid probably around £10 to get onto that toll road in the first place. So if you're taking that into account, it becomes a bit more of an exclusive club. But it's a pretty good service station. I was pretty impressed with the food. Overall, I came away from there happy. So 8.5 out of 10, it's a good score. Thank you for watching this video all the way through to the end, and thank you for supporting me. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you again on the next.